Call the meeting to order. Okay. Okay, 6 p.m., the meeting to order. Liz, please call the roll.
Councilmember Archie.
Here.
Councilmember Bax.
Here.
Councilmember Miles.
Here.
Councilmember Zajac. Here. Council Chairperson Perry.
Here. I will be leading the exercises today, opening exercises. O God, the Father of us all, we humbly beseech Thee, in Thy wisdom and knowledge, to guide and direct the deliberations of the council along the path of truth, justice, and righteousness, so that what it decides for the welfare of our citizens may also rebound to Thy greater honor and glory. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, this evening we have a presentation by Destination Niagara. John Percy, may you take the stand, please?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to present for this body. Chairperson Perry, to distinguished council members, thank you for this opportunity. Tonight I'm presenting our annual report for 2024. A look back, but it's good to always look back and see where the bed tax that's invested in our organization and how those dollars are utilized and really the return to you and to this community. On your first page is the evolution of Niagara County tourism by the numbers. If you see in tourism spending since 2015, we can go back as far as 2010, but almost a 70% increase in tourism spending up to 2023, $608 million in 2015 to now $1.08 billion in 2023, a 78% increase. In our digital marketing campaigns, we put almost 70% of our dollars into digital marketing campaigns that target certain audiences, certain geographical areas, and all through all winter, spring, summer, fall, as well as winter and holiday. You can see a quick here, I won't go into detail because I know we're limited as far as time, but generated almost $49 million back to the community. This was 111 to 1 return on investment. So every dollar that was invested brought back $111 to the community. And that is devised by tracking people. I hate to say that, but we track them by their phones, by their digital presence. It is like Big Brother watching you, unfortunately, but we do that. We can track them all the way through their trip or their decision to make a trip, their trip here, and how much was spent. It's scary, but it is true. On the media side, on the next page, is the earned media that we like to receive. We work very hard to get free stories written about the destination. This is a glimpse of 214 stories across all media channels, print, television, online. We had a great year due to the eclipse, which happened last April 8th. The total number of media impressions was almost 1 billion at 958 million people, an increase of 104% over the year prior. Again, the eclipse had a lot to do with that. A little snapshot, top media placements in Yahoo, USA Today, and the Daily Mail in the UK. Niagara Falls US website, our page views, almost 4.4 million people were on the website with an increase of 18.2% over 23. Social media across all the channels, both for us and the Convention Center and Old Fall Street. We manage, I think you know, we're in our, can't believe it, but our 4th year of managing the building in Old Fall Street, and the numbers here are present and growing year after year. Next page is the eclipse and the results from that. Campaign results, almost 620,000 impressions Total click-throughs to our website, a little over 25,000. This generated $92,000 of worth of economic impact that we can track. I'm sure there was many more, there was a ton more, of course, but what we can attribute to our efforts was $92,000. We're presently utilizing an economic development agency grant through New York State. We received the largest in New York State outside of New York City. This county received $652,000. We're using that in outdoor markets and fishing, kayaking, disc golf, and birding, internationally, as well as convention business. We have really elevated our presence in the convention and meetings market. On the leisure group sales, this is motor coach business. There was an increase of 15.3% over 2023, generating over $2 million back into the community of people on our motor coaches. This is domestic only. This does not include international. This was a 17-to-1 return on investment. Every dollar we invested in motor coach or going after that market brought back $2 million. There is a dollar sign between every figure I give you, and I'll show you our overall economic impact at the end. Global initiatives, we work very hard to build our presence in the international arena. Our international customer, we love our domestic customers, but the international customer has a tendency to stay longer and spend 3 times as much as a domestic consumer. So we're very active on the Brand USA platforms, as well as FAM tours, trade shows. FAM tours are familiarization tours where we familiarize tour operators with our products here and building the presence of Niagara Falls, USA, so that we can beat our competitor of Niagara Falls, Canada. I hate to say that publicly, but that is our initiative. We are very active in the UK market, German market, as well as India. Those are our top 3. In fact, India has moved from number 18 into the United States to number 2 in 24. They are our number 1 and beat out UK and Germany. You can go downtown into the state park, and many times we look like New Delhi. We love our Indian visitors. On the convention and meeting sales, we have built this market extensively over the last couple years. Total room nights, over 12,000 room nights, generating 8.2 or almost $8.3 million in that market last year alone. So that convention business is very big. When you drop down to the convention center, it is a $24 million economic impact from that building alone into the community. That does not have a dollar sign because I can't say that we utilize, those are state dollars that go into that building. Up above, the $8 million was generated by my staff alone. That has that green little dollar sign, which we'll get to at the end. Our visitor center, I'm very pleased to say, continues to grow back after COVID. Numbers were very strong pre-COVID, and now getting back to those pre-pandemic levels of over 120, 130,000 visitors. Last year, we saw 101,000 visitors with an 18.7% increase from 23. Our branded items continues to raise money and revenue for us, so we continue to operate that building. Many destination marketing organizations across the country closed their visitor centers. We did too, but many did not reopen. We have kept ours open. We're a market where people still want to talk to people. They still want paper. They still want that old-fashioned way to connect with us. And so we have that with our visitor center that's open year-round and only closed 3 days a year on Easter, Thanksgiving, and Christmas Day. Outdoor promotions continues to grow. Fishing, kayaking, birding, etc. are very big. Birding is very big in our state park. And so we really go after that market heavily more now than ever before. Fishing's always been very popular. You can fish here year-round on our upper river, lower river, in our rivers and streams and so forth throughout the county. So fishing and outdoor promotions is very popular. A fishing expo every February is a show that we own and operate and is very successful. The Buffalo Niagara Film Commission we support. It is based in Buffalo, but very active within Niagara County and Niagara Falls. Every dollar we give them generated $740,000. You can see here. That's immediate return in the community. This does not include the number if we're on a commercial, if we're in a movie, those long-lasting impacts. This is the immediate of what the television crews spend here while they're in the market. So on food and beverage, on hotels, They hire people in the local community. They hire catering services and so forth. That's 11-to-1 return on investment for every dollar we invest in that. The last page is our 2024 Board of Directors and the terms that are listed here and the places. We have 6 general business, 6 hospitality tourism, and 3 vestor appointments, one being the mayor of Niagara Falls. Mayor Restaino resides on our board and so has a permanent seat. You do, since the bed tax flows through the city. That will always remain the case and have the city present on our board. We have committees that are listed here and our finances for 24, our revenue that was generated and 2024 expenses. I want to point out that personnel expense stays at 27%. That is below, it's always been my goal to keep that below 30%. Many DMOs, destination marketing organizations, are 45, 50%, 55%. They feel the staff is an asset. They are with us too. We believe we want to push and do every dollar into marketing if all possible. Here comes the overall organizational ROI, return on investment, to you. Those little green dollar signs and the impacts that I saw throughout this report went into a number. Total number divided by the bed tax that we receive brought a 19-to-1 return on investment. So every dollar that you invested from our bed tax returned $19 back to this community overall. So I'm very pleased, because if we were in the market right now, you would not be getting $19 to 1. So every dollar anybody would invest, if you gave us $1 and returned $19 back to the community. Our hotel numbers continued to grow in 24, probably not in 25, but in 24 they did, and we've seen a continual increase from the pandemic. This is going to be a tough year, no doubt. Consumer confidence, unfortunately, I don't want to end on a sad note, but it is dropping. The actions that are taken by the White House are impacting us on an international basis, Canadian basis, etc. So they are going to have an impact on tourism, not just here, but across the entire nation. Thank you. Oh, quickly, our visit travel guide is off the hot press. Please take a look at it. I am so pleased with that. It is a lifestyle magazine, not just a travel guide. Thank you very much. I know my time has ended. Questions or no, or am I done? Done. Thank you all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, John, very much. And now we will move on to the speakers on agenda items. Liz, do you have a list?
Yes, we do. So our first speaker is Frank Hanley. Agenda items number 2 and 6.
Greetings, salutations. All right. So agenda item number 2 deals with the pothole killer situation. I just think that it is piss poor investment. I'm gonna tell you why. It showed up in 2000 with DPW. It wasn't effective then. Here we are again trying to get it to go forward again. It just doesn't make sense logically. If you think that they've changed material, there's a better process. That company, Patch Management, should do their due diligence. Go pave a road for nothing. See how long it lasts and come up with a plan that calls for efficiency for our city. Because we keep doing these short-term, temporary solutions that cost us way more down the line, and we end up with nothing at the end. And we're just exhausted with it. So my suggestion was to be have a conversation with Patch Management. What is your solution now? Go fix the road, and don't sign a contract that says, oh, we're going to fix 15,000 potholes, and then we're done. Then those same potholes come back again in 2 weeks. There has to be a plan in place, a process in place to effectively figure out how is this going to solve our situation. My time, I'm doing good, okay? And then also, my question is, y'all just sanctioned equipment for road repair and haven't exhausted the process to execute that. But we want to spend money on things that haven't been proven to work. That's just action item number 2. It speaks to how we handle things in the city overall. Then you have these license plate readers you want to install. My question is where at and for what reason? Because Buffalo installed license plate readers by the schools and had to kind of take them down because they were charging people money and getting their tickets and stuff. They're like, wait a minute, the school zone ain't happening Saturday at 2 o'clock. So to scam me to give me a ticket isn't effective. So we are replacing these license plate readers, and I come to find out we already got some somewhere that ain't being occupied. We have to make better choices and better solutions. And my thing is, vet the contract. What is the purpose? What is the reason? And does it make sense? Is it valid? I understand that your hands are limited to a degree, but got to go here, too bad. He got to do his administration, got to do his due diligence. We're not competent or compliant to what needs to happen for the city of Niagara Falls. What are we doing as a unit? Because I might be drifting here, I got 45 seconds. I just heard a man read about money coming to the city. And he stated repeatedly, it's coming to the community. We ain't seen it yet. So financially, there's resources. There's money coming. And to hear that the mayor's on that board, I'm drifting, so it's part of my Robert Russo situation. But to bring 2 and 6 into junction, vet what we're doing. And let things reach the community as a whole. I need to know, why are you placing license plate readers, my mind keeps saying in the hood, because I don't know where they're going. That's just my thoughts. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Our next speaker is Janine Gallo, agenda items number 3 and 2.
My name's Janine Gallo. I'm talking about the totes situation. From my experience, I live in a town that when the tote breaks, I think I talked about it, there's a truck behind, they call and say, hey, there's a tote broken on Englewood Avenue, and the tote truck comes and either fixes it or replaces it immediately with another tote. I'm reading your tote thing, and my question is, if the DPW is in charge of fixing all those totes and nobody's totes are ever fixed, obviously they're overwhelmed with everything else you're asking the DPW to do. So you have a contract coming up that says the garbage people will take care of the maintenance of the totes, which gives the DPW a lot of extra time, right? Because if they were in charge of repairing every tote in Niagara Falls, maybe they don't need the overtime anymore for the potholes because they don't have to do the totes anymore. So you keep piling all these jobs and this, and that. Well, you're taking one away from them, which must give them more time, or was they not doing it at all, right? So it's either they weren't doing it at all or they were in charge of it. So there's got to be time somewhere for the DPW now relieved by your contract from the garbage company, if that makes sense. So if the garbage company is in charge of fixing the totes now and replacing them, that is awesome. Again, accountability. When are they going to fix them? Because obviously the DPW didn't have time. Okay, so there's a long list of people that don't have totes or their totes are missing. And again, I know the Niagara Falls saying it's always the people's fault. And probably the totes in the hood, as he said, we don't care about those totes. We got to make sure the little island people totes are perfect. So let's make all the totes perfect. Okay, just throwing it out there. In their contract that they're asking for 5 more years, just like these other contracts that you guys have that nobody is accountable for. Okay, are they going to be accountable for fixing them? If they don't, what's the consequence? Nothing? Give them bonus checks? Pretend things? You know, again, is there RFPs out on everything? Because does it go to the lowest bidder? Because maybe I might want to bid on buying the totes, right? And buy, paper ones and put them out there. Because I'd be cheaper. Just throwing it out there. Bye.
Our next speaker is Tanya Barone. Agenda items number 2, 3, and 7.
Good evening. I'm here to speak on 2, 3, and 7 in regards to patch management. Has an RFP been advertised, or have they been chosen strictly because they've done work for us in the past? They will be providing the pothole killer truck, an operator, and 100 tons of material along with support and service. Are we providing the additional crew during the 8-hour workday to complete the jobs? 4 hours of additional overtime pay for 21 days, totaling $100,870 additional dollars. How many employees are we giving overtime to? I did the math. If we are paying $80 an hour, assuming that they make $40 an hour a piece and are being paid double time, that's equivalent to 15 men. Do we need that many men on a pothole killer truck? Do we have this information? It's important to know exactly how the money is being spent, regardless of where the source of the money is coming from. That's irrelevant to me. Number 3, if this contract is extended with the garbage company until 2034, what is the time frame for purchasing the new totes? Is it going to be years, over the course of how many years? Also, how are we disposing of the current totes and the totes that they'll be picking up as they collect them? Are they being recycled, or are they going into a landfill? If the contract is canceled or ends, will they take the cans back because they now own them? That might become a little bit sticky. As far as the Climate Smart Community Task Force, I'm not a fan already. The word task force kind of shows a sense of force on the residents to me. Climate Smart Coordinator. Are any of these paid positions? What climate smart agendas are they going to implement? I've taken a little time to research the program requirements and samples of the initiatives. One is replacing fleets of vehicles with electric vehicles. In my opinion, we've just approved new vehicles using the ARPA funds. Seems pretty senseless to implement this no matter how much free money is offered. We know it's not free. This leads to more costs, such as charging stations, and most people I know have problems with electric vehicles. One is, it's a huge fire hazard. Buffalo has implemented some of the programs. One is composting that's picked up weekly. We have a rat problem. I don't think putting cans of strict food out to the curb is a good idea. I'm curious to what these initiatives are and how much money it's going to cost. Thank you.
And our last speaker on agenda items is Brian Miller, agenda item number 3.
Good evening. This is about agenda item 3. I would like the council to consider about the tote replacement and maybe possibly first look into buying directly from the vendors, because that could be more cost efficient. I know many vendors like Uniline and Husky are good quality tote brands. Also, in the mayor's thing, it said it would require a raise in taxes of the garbage fee with Cassell's proposal. Well, I've done the math. 18,000 totes at 1.2 million would average each tote at $66 to $67. Could this be done at maybe a one-time fee and then directly through the vendor if need for repairs? And my thing is also, it could, cost more than that because of delivery, but a 96-gallon at Home Depot doesn't exceed $125. And I would just urge the council to eventually seek to move away from private contractors and try to get its own city thing going. We obviously have Kavana at our advantage. I have seen where, they've given tax breaks to landfills and Kavana places like that where the tonnage that we could eat on that. And I know recently, it was said maybe $1 million to $2 million was saved with the contractor switching. And I would urge that maybe that would go into investing for city-owned garbage trucks. At the time, city-owned garbage trucks, they might be more now, were about 400 to 500,000. So that would put us at, maybe if we had a couple automatic arms and a couple rear packers, that would put us at 5 trucks at 2.5 million. Or if we were to do 7 rear packers, that would be 2.8 million, including maybe possibly cheaper, because there are smaller garbage trucks that would make it easier access into our T, H, and circle alleys, which I know were a struggle when there was a switch to 32-yarder trucks. So I would just address the council to maybe consider this, give this time to look at all our options versus, you know, just agreeing to this, because like I said, if you look into these things, if we branch away, it could save us money in the long term. I'm going to break up with this also. We are the only ones that do a private contractor. The city of North Tonawanda, the city of Tonawanda, the city of Buffalo, aside from recycling, all do their own, and I find it to be a long-term saving strategy. Thank you.
There are no other speakers.
Administrative updates.
Just a brief note about item 3 that was published on the council's webpage. There was a typo in the second paragraph. Instead of reading extension to April 20th, 2034, it had been printed as 3034. So the corrected agenda item has been handed out to each of the council members. Was on your in front of your chairs this evening, showing the correct year, and the website will be updated tomorrow with the correct showing the correct year.
Okay. Community happenings. Any announcements on community happenings?
Niagara Beautification Committee this Saturday. I know you do have to sign up on their website, but it is from 10 to noon. You sign up, they give you supplies, and you're able to go to any location that you like. And then there is a patio party or reception at the aquarium. And next Tuesday, it's the 13th? Is that the 13th? I think it's the 13th. 6 to 8 at the Main Street Library. There is a Board of Education Candidates Forum, if I'm not mistaken, which is open to everybody.
Okay. Anybody else? Nope. Okay, we're now at section 4 of the agenda. Are there any motions to amend the agenda by roll call vote? If not, is there a motion to accept the agenda as proposed? May I have a second? Any opposition? Okay, roll call, Liz?
Councilmember Archie? Councilmember Bax?
Yes.
Councilmember Miles?
Yes.
Councilmember Zajac?
Yes.
Council Chairperson Perry?
Yes.
5 yeas.
5 yeas, motion carried. Now we're at section 5, review and approve the minutes. Are there any corrections reviewing the minutes for April 9th from the city council meeting? If not, let the minutes be accepted as distributed. Section 6, City Clerk's Office.
So the Office of the City Clerk has submitted the report of licenses issued and collections made in the clerk's office during the month of March 2025. Those have been received and filed.
Okay, thank you, Liz. We are now at legislative items. 7 is distributed electronically from last week. We're at legislative item number 1. May I have a motion, please?
Yes, for item number 1, I move the council vote to approve and authorize the mayor to enter into an agreement with the successful bidder, PVS Knollwood Chemicals, Inc., to provide the Department of Public Works with pool chemicals as more fully outlined in the mayor's recommendation memo dated May 1st, 2025.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Okay, I will not restate the motions unless you specifically request to do so. Any opposition? Or I'm sorry, information request? Okay, any opposition? Liz, roll call, please.
Councilmember Archie?
Yes?
Councilmember Bax?
Yes.
Councilmember Miles?
Yes.
Councilmember Zajac,
Yes.
Council Chairperson Perry?
Yes.
5 yeas.
5 yeas, the motion's carried. Legislative item number 2. May I have a motion, please?
I move the council vote to approve and authorize the mayor to enter into an agreement with Patch Management, Inc., as more fully outlined in the mayor's recommendation memo dated May 1st, 2025.
May I have a second? Okay. Information requests?
As per an email that I sent to the mayor, the administration, I was hoping that our department head would be able to be here to actually answer these questions, but let's see, I'm gonna just take a stab at it. How many of these streets will be completed within these 21 days of overtime?
The item doesn't specify any number of streets. It's based on the time that they have to spend, as far as they can get. So it would be just speculation to come up with a number of streets, especially since every street is a different length. We have some streets that are a block long. We have some streets that are 15 blocks long, and I can't tell you what the average number of streets they'll cover.
So basically, that answers the next question that I would have, would be which streets would be completed. Of course, you won't have that answer, because of the simple fact, I think this is probably where it's a little baffling, because it's a lot of streets have been in desperate need of repair for a long time, and they haven't been touched, but some streets are being dug up now that really don't need to be fixed. But that's a different situation. Have we
The
purchased?
patching isn't digging up streets. When you talk about digging up streets, that's a full curb-to-curb repaving, which
Okay,
is
so we're
about
talking
to
about
begin.
fixing?
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. Have we purchased the new equipment that the council approved for DPW, as far as like fixing the roads, as far as like the rollers and things?
Yes, the roller, my understanding is that they've received the roller.
Okay, and I don't think you would be able to provide this, but who can provide us the total overall effectiveness of this equipment that we just,
Well, the one thing you have to understand is that the rollers are used for hot asphalt pothole patching, which the DPW crew works on from about mid-April until the start of the repaving season, which usually starts in May. So for the last, say, nearly month, DPW has been out doing hot asphalt patching, and they use the roller for that process, and it just jams the asphalt into the hole, and there's better adhesion, and it lasts longer than a cold patch, which is used during the winter. And then when they go into the full curb-to-curb repaving season, as I said, it's going to start this month, they'll be using the roller as well, because after they lay that layer of finished pavement, they've got to roll it all out and get it smooth. So it's that equipment gets double duty from spring right through summer and into fall, because the road repaving project generally goes right into September, and they have about 20 streets that they intend to repave this paving season, so they'll be busy.
So when we're talking about coupling a pothole killer, which have proven to have not been that great of didn't have much effectiveness, especially when you're spraying into a hole and you're not really doing what we need to do to kind of like make sure that it's stable, because what happens is all of this stuff ends up coming back out within the next week or so, soon as cars starts rolling over it. I'm just trying to find the process. That's why I asked for the department heads to be here, because it will help for them to tell me what the process is, the time frame that is going to be, and the outcome. What happens? What do we get from this services? Because you're talking about $100,000 of us spending our tax, and of course, I don't care if it comes from the tribal money. At the end of the day, it could be used for anything. I think the thing is that we're not getting a solid detail as to, you're asking us to spend all of this money, whether it be overtime, and then when you talk about overtime, actually, I'll save that for the next portion, because that's not even asking you a question. So we haven't had any data really in regards to the new equipment that we have. It's starting this month, right?
You asked a question about what will the supervisors be doing, and they're going to be watching both the patch management efforts. Our department head will be assigning the patch management equipment to various streets, and they'll be watching that. Now, this year, patch management will be doing half the amount of work that it did last year. So they almost made $200,000. They made roughly $200,000 last year, and if this proposal is approved, they'll make half of that. What that does is it frees up almost $100,000, because to your point, we have members of the DPW streets crew who feel that their process of hot asphalt patching is superior to the pothole killer. And if this item is approved, it will give the director of DPW an opportunity to see both methods being started about the same time at different streets throughout the city, and then he and his staff can watch which process lasts longer on average. And that will give us an idea whether we continue to use the pothole killer at 50%, or whether we decide that no, it's just as good or better than what our crews can do, in which case next year we would probably ask you to turn the pothole killer to the original volume, double its volume to what it was last year. Does that make sense?
I guess probably, I think probably my main concern is has the department head, who is directly connected, of course, to the executive branch, have they given them exactly which streets they're going to be doing? I think that's because, to me, it's like, that could be
yet,
it. I'm not finished.
Not yet. They're waiting for the contract to be awarded, and then that assignment of work will be done. They wouldn't do it before you award the contract.
To me, I think it's backwards, because
I don't think so.
Hold on.
If you don't approve the contract, there's no need for them to assign the pothole killer streets to work on. Correct?
If I came from out, let's say I came from out of, let's do it in the opposition, because I'm really giving you more of an opposition. I'm not asking you any questions right now. I'm giving you opposition. So okay. I'm gonna wait till the opposition.
Does anyone else have any questions for me?
Okay. That's it for information? All right, move on to the opposition now. Before we get to the opposition, the pros usually speak before the opposition. And what I would like to say is I sat on several meetings with Mr. Tompkins and the mayor and Anthony Rustino. And if I'm speaking wrong, please correct me, but they are trying something new this year. There's been accusations saying this doesn't work, the pothole killer doesn't work as much. And I have actually talked to Kenny Tompkins with the mayor, and they are trying something new this year to see what works better. And they are making plans to make it more efficient down the road, to test to see what works better. So the accusation saying that this isn't going to work, we're throwing bad money after bad money, isn't totally accurate. They are making improvements.
So,
So-
the information that I got actually came from actual DPW workers. You said you're the pro. You've never ran that pothole killer before in your day in your life.
That's good
So,
because the workers don't often know what's actually going.
but I guess to
did
label
this.
yourself as a pro and you've never ran the machine ever a day in your life is like asinine to me.
Randy, let me tell you something. I did work on the cruise.
But did you work on with the pothole
No, I
killer?
did not work on the
So you're not a
pothole
pro
killer.
in that
But you
case. So
didn't either.
again, that's what I'm saying. And because I'm not, I actually have the request that I made to the mayor asking to have Mr. Tompkins here so we can ask him because he actually runs the day-to-day process of this. So again, the process, the time frame, and the outcome. So I'm not getting none of that. You're not giving me none of that. He's not giving me none of that. All I'm asking is for the people who are actually working in this position, the mayor appoints to run, to manage this position, to come here and give us some answers before we vote on spending $200,000. So I'm not a pro. You're not a pro. None of us in this room is really a pro, but the people who are in the professional field that is managing this business every single day and that has not for I don't know how many, the decade or so, the streets have only gotten worse. The pothole killer actually got stuck in a pothole one year. So my thing is like, what do we do? And to throw overtime at it and to bring the pothole killer back, my thing is like, okay, so tell me what is the plan? Because instead of us up here being like rubber stamps and saying yes and yes and yes because it's just brought to our table and there's money in the tribal fund, maybe we should just go ahead and say, okay, actually, let's find out from the professionals. I did it. I went through protocol. Nobody up here can say I didn't because I CC'd every last one of you inside of that same email. I asked the mayor to bring the department head, who was here, they used to come back in the day before this administration, to come here and answer. These are simple questions. And if he's running this department like a well-oiled machine, it would have been nothing for him to come sit here for 20 minutes and answer some simple questions, because these are basic questions, providing OEE, overall equipment efficiency, providing the actual, TPE, total process efficiency. How is it done? What results are we getting? But if we're going to use the same failed process and we don't get no one to really explain to us in a real professional, not self-proclaimed professional, but someone who actually operates the machines, the people who can come and actually tell us exactly how this works, then it doesn't make any sense. And that's why it seems rubber stampish, because we're not getting information. This is real information. And we're saying, okay, overtime. I worked at a plant before. The supervisors don't get overtime. They asked management, hey, the people who hired you, we need overtime, but before we get that overtime, we have to justify that overtime before we actually get it. Before the company actually approves it, we have to have a packet. Here's what we're going to do. This is what we're going to provide. This is why we need the overtime, and this is going to give us this result. I'm not getting none of that tonight. None of us are. So if we vote this yes and vote this through, then we're doing a disservice to the people that we work for. Let's answer the question.
Well, I've sat on the meetings with the mayor and Kenny Tompkins, and I'm totally satisfied. So,
Again, there's the lack of transparency, because if it was a gold mine and if it works and if it made all the sense in the world, the people who you sat in these meetings with wouldn't have any problem sitting here with us and telling us on record that, hey, this is how it's going to work, and this is what we're going to do, and this is what we're going to do with your tax or with our tribal funding for this specific agenda item. So we don't have any real answers, so it's okay. I know how I'm voting.
okay. Anybody else? Okay, Liz, please call the roll.
Councilmember Archie,
Would love the potholes to be filled and the streets to be fixed. I just don't like the front loading of the overtime. My vote's a no.
Councilmember Max,
Yep. Well, potholes, we live in a city, in a climate where potholes are always going to be in our city year after year. We have to address them. We heard from a speaker earlier that we need to address them. And the pothole killer, we've also heard for years. You know, we love from residents, let's try something that's more effective with something different than the pothole killer. So pulling back on the service, trying something different, piloting a new program, testing those results to see which direction to go makes sense. So, and we're doing it without increasing overall costs. Yes.
Councilmember Miles.
So once again, without us actually getting all of the information that we truly need, without us having data that proves that this pothole killer is an efficient and effective way to move, and no real true justification as to how we're going to do this overtime when it comes down to, you know, the DPW. I mean, you know, maybe if we stop ripping gardens out and actually fix more roads, that would be a thing. But with that being the case, it would be doing, again, a disservice. And without getting answers, that's why we're here. We're here to ask tough questions. And when those questions don't have answers, I think we should, at bare minimum, table it, but that's too late for that. So that being the case, my votes are no as well.
Councilmember Zajac. Council Chairperson Perry.
Like I said, I've sat through meetings with Kenny Tompkins and the mayor, and I've sat through with Anthony Rustino, and I am fully confident with the policy and what they're doing. I know that they're doing the right thing, and I'm voting yes.
3 yeas, 2 nay.
The motion carried. Item number 3. May I have a motion, please?
Item number 3, I move the council vote to approve and authorize the mayor to negotiate and enter into an amended agreement with Casella Waste Management of New York, Inc., as more fully outlined in the mayor's recommendation memo dated May 1st, 2025.
May I have a second? Second. Any information requests?
Quickly, does this cost include proposed tariffs? I'm making the assumption that these aren't made here, these cans that we're getting. So is there any increase to this number, or is it like built in to what they're proposing?
The proposal is up to date, so I assume that whatever impact tariffs may or may not have has already been factored in by the company that made the proposal.
So who does the evaluation as per the performance of Casella from the time we hired them as a municipal service till today?
That's primarily the DPW managers, Kenny Tompkins, and then Mr. Tompkins reports to the city administrator, Anthony Rustino. So those folks are supervising Casella and watching their contract requirements carefully.
I'm waiting for the next
Anyone else? Okay, any opposition?
in opposition. The young man in the bright green shirt, I appreciate, well, that's why it's so important to pay attention to what people are saying at that podium. Looking at other options, that means something. 18,000 totes, it's not even, honestly, as they should, because since they've started, I've got more complaints about totes being torn up and tops of totes being ripped off and never replaced, and not picking up all of the trash. leaving totes in the middle of the street when they dump them, when they dump trash falling in the streets and they don't pick it up. This is like, these are real complaints, and we just hired them. So that's what happens when you bid to the lowest bidder. You get what you pay for, right? So that's why I asked the question, who evaluates, and why hasn't that been something that was brought to us as a council to say, hey, here's what they've done for the city, which would make, an extension valid. Because right now, extending their contract right now is not a valid situation right now, because we are getting more complaints than I've ever heard with Modern. But that's because we went the cheap route. So I don't know. And if they want to increase that, I think we should have some type of data. Somebody bring some data here to tell us exactly what they did for us. Because right now, from all of the texts and the emails and the inboxes that I get, I'm getting a whole bunch of complaints. More complaints than I've ever gotten from Modern. And then not just that, I'm not just complaining. They tore my top off the first day they actually dumped mine. So I had to get mine fixed, maybe because I'm a city councilman, it was a little quicker. But the true story is, so it's not, the complaints that I got is not something that I'm making up or something that I'm up here just speaking for everybody else. I seen it happen myself. I seen them dump my can and then leave it like literally in a parking spot, like both of my cans in the street. So it's the quality of services that we're paying for too. So until we can actually make sure that they're giving our city, the entire city, quality services, we don't need to extend nothing. We need to go ahead, let everything go, run its course, and then if there's an RFP, maybe Modern might want to come back to the table, and maybe they might give us a better deal. Who knows? But just extending contracts just to extend them, it does not make any sense, and it's not fiscally responsible, and it's not responsible for the quality of services that we receive in the city of Niagara Falls.
Right now, who's responsible for fixing the totes or giving us, like mine's is broke, they broke mine, so like who's supposed to give us new totes? Right now, just say this isn't here. Who's
Right
supposed to
now, the city has to fork out the money to buy replacement blue totes and green totes. So you're talking the blue totes are for garbage. Mm-hmm. Those are smaller than the green totes,
Yeah.
So not as large as a 96-gallon tote that Casella is willing to purchase 18,000 of to replace our blue ones. But presently, if there's a broken green can or a blue can, it's DPW that's called out to haul it into the shop, repair it. If they can't repair it, it gets disposed and then replaced. So all that cost is on DPW, and then the cost of purchasing new replacement blue totes is on the city until such time as perhaps we agree to have Casella take that over.
do we
With
know
this
that-
proposal, it's important to realize that this would not change the city's ownership and responsibility to repair the green totes for recycling. But those get about 50% less use simply because you drag those out to your curb every other week as opposed to the blue totes, which are getting heavier, more frequent usage, and therefore tend to break sooner.
So what's the time frame though for just say this, because I heard the question asked. So if this goes, what is the time frame to bring the new totes to get them?
Well, as the mayor's memo indicates, if this deal is brought to conclusion, that the purchasing of the 18,000 new 96-gallon blue totes would be this year. So they would start to replace our existing somewhat tired fleet of blue totes with the new blue totes of larger size, 96 gallons. And the city doesn't have to pay for any of that purchase price. That's Casella paying the entire $1.2 million for those blue totes. So it's not as though we're here asking for an extension for the sake of an extension. the administration and I contend that we're getting something of significant value. If we don't come up with this type of solution, that leaves us in the predicament of having to basically replace those blue totes because they are old. The plastic is getting more brittle. They're breaking down more frequently. If Casella doesn't end up replacing our fleet of tired out blue totes, guess who does? We will. And when we purchase the new totes, it's going to come out of the taxpayer's dollar. It's either going to come out of the general fund or it's going to be assessed as part of the garbage fee. And I don't think anyone wants to see, if we can avoid it, I don't think anyone wants to see tax dollars having to be increased or garbage fee having to be increased if we can figure out a way to avoid that cost.
So given deliveries though, like, right, the delays that are currently happening, and I just know from a couple of other places, you know, is this year or we'll see them next year? You understand?
The proposal is to.
The proposal is this year, but
start,
like.
yes, if we can get this done, they have said that they would replace them.
When was the last time the entire fleet of totes in the city were replaced?
10 years.
They're original. They're the original equipment.
The originals,
Yeah.
right, from the
They
very
are
first,
the
okay,
latest
they're over a decade old.
Yeah.
So they actually decide to pretty much like, you know, say, you know what, kick rocks, Niagara Falls, we don't want to deal with you anymore, and we bought all these totes. And they leave and they take their basketball and they go home. Can they possibly, because they bought the totes, they're going to confiscate those totes that they actually bought, right?
No, that's not what we would negotiate. Our plan is to, and they've indicated willingness to do this, is that if they, let's say if they decide that they want to sever the relationship April 20th of 2034, then we would have the first option to purchase the totes from Casella, but with a depreciation factor. So we wouldn't be paying the new price. We wouldn't be paying Casella the cost of buying new, which is $1.2 million. We would be purchasing at over 5 years depreciation, right? Because they're 1 year into the contract, so they have 4 years under the first contract. So basically, what we're talking about is an event that might happen 9 years from now. And if Casella, as I said, decides to part ways with us on April 20th, 2034, 9 years from now, there'll be 9 years of depreciation.
I think the issue that I may have with this solely is that when it comes down to like contracts, like that whole spiel that you just gave me is not in here. And we don't have that in front of us. So that's kind of like just, it might happen, and this is how they might do it if we go to the table. And guess what? We approve a contract, and then all of a sudden,
I'm not going to approve a contract.
Point of order.
He's trying to explain.
No, I wasn't finished talking. You can't explain something until I'm done talking. Point of order, please.
I'm not going to approve a contract that.
Point of order. Could you ask me what my point of order is? That's your job.
What is your point?
My point of order is that I wasn't done talking, and then you don't cut me off until I'm done talking.
Okay.
This is a city council meeting. I'm just brushing you up on these Robert's Rules of Order. I was not done talking, and not even you. Was I right? Was I fair? Okay, so like I was saying before I was interrupted, is that when we do a contract, and this information that you just gave us is not in the contract that you want us to vote yes for, and we're asking you, hey, can they take it away? Your word is nothing unless it's on paper. So because it's not in the contract, and we don't have a contract in front of us, and the same goes to you, sir, I'm not finished. And if it's not here, and we don't have, the proper channels here to really let us know exactly, even Casella, we don't have any representation. Now, Casella wants us to give them 5 more years, but Casella's not here. That's probably one of the biggest problems. We keep voting on things and people want stuff from us, from the city, not from the council, because we're just a body of legislative branch. But at the end of the day, people keep sending message through the mayor's office into our hands, asking us for things, but they won't show up and tell us why we should do this. They're just expecting that they're going to get 3 votes from up here.
Here's the thing. Let me respond to that. It is our responsibility to know what we're voting for. Now, Mr. Zajac had the wherewithal to call me and ask me. I had sat in on these meetings, and I sat in on the customer complaint meetings and the meetings with the contract. Then he called the mayor's office and got the scoop from the mayor also. David, would you like to respond to what the mayor had told you and what I had told you?
Yeah, so just briefly.
Silence! Officers, I want to ask you to please start taking these people out of here who voice up.
Wow.
Yeah,
come on.
We cannot hear the tapes. This is why it took so long to get our last meeting, because you can't hear the tapes with everybody talking in the background. I'm going to ask you to please, I'm going to ask you politely, please don't talk in the background. Please. All right, David, please.
Yeah, so just briefly, as Mr. Perry said, you did share some brief information with me. I also had a phone call with the mayor because I was unable to come in and meet with him. And I understand what you're saying, Councilman Miles, a lot of that's not in here, but a lot of it is what he provided me, like the answers to those questions. So I understand, and I know we've had this discussion or disagreement. You don't like doing the private meetings or the phone calls, and that's fine. And I said I always respect that. We stand by that. But just some of the answers to those questions, the mayor was able to provide that are not in. That's all.
And of course, so what you're saying, what you're saying is because he gave you.
You had all your.
Well, no, he's responding to me, right?
No, wait.
Okay.
No, let him talk.
Go ahead, sir.
So I want to address Councilmember Miles' concern that the things that I say may not end up in the contract. And to allay his fears and anyone else that feels the same way, I would just direct the council member to the last paragraph of the mayor's memo, and I'll read it out loud. It says, quote, "Will the council vote to so approve and authorize the mayor to negotiate and execute an amended agreement with Casella in a form acceptable to the corporation council?" End quote. So basically what that means is that if the negotiated contract doesn't meet my standards, it won't be signed. And you are a big proponent of putting things on the record. You have said repeatedly that speaking in council meeting is important because we're making a record. I can assure you that after saying publicly that I would not approve a contract where we didn't have the first option to purchase the Casella purchased totes in the hypothetical situation that they walk away from the city in 2034, if that's not in there, I won't be approving the contract. If there isn't a clause in there that says we can buy them back in 2034, not only have the first option, but with depreciation factored in for 9 years, I won't be approving that either, nor would my successor. So,
I think the track records matter. Track records matter.
My track record?
No, I'm not talking about you. I'm just talking about our governing track record matters. So the last contract that we actually extended, tell me what happened to that. I'm sorry, what? Remember what happened to the last? See, when we talk about extending contracts without really having the meat and really having teeth into the contract.
$1.2 million is a lot of meat.
Question, again, for us to extend the contract without having the meat and without having really, heavy skin in the game, like the one that I'm not going to talk about that said contract, but we did extend we didn't actually, we voted against extending it, but it got extended, bypassed and all of that other good stuff by our executive branch. And so I'm supposed to have trust in that when that vendor actually quit. So, and left us hanging. So my thing is
If
we're talking
Casella
about
quits,
another extension.
if Casella quits, we will have the first option to buy the totes back with depreciation.
And then it'll be an emergency.
It will be an emergency to the extent that if in your scenario that you just outlined, Casella quits, I would say that's an emergency because who's picking up my garbage and your garbage next week? If they quit tonight, who's picking up the garbage next week? I think that qualifies as an emergency.
Again, that's why I say, we need to exhaust other options like the young man in the green said. What's your name, sir? Brian, just like Brian had made mention up here, the whole idea is that, and that's the sad thing that Niagara Falls we've been doing as of lately, is we've been trying to be innovators of foolishness because none of the municipalities around us are doing that, what we're doing, whether it be these privatized garbage pickers or whether it be animal shelter. We're always innovating new things that doesn't make sense. So my thing is instead of extending the contract, let's step outside of the box just for a second because it's not something that Niagara Falls, I've been born and raised here. And we had our own garbage pickup when I was younger. It's not something that is unheard of. We're not even recreating the wheel. This is something that we actually done before. And it was actually effective. We just got newer equipment now. And how will we know? Is if we tried it. Trying this is right here. They haven't shown us, they haven't had a good track record within the small time that they've been with us. And all I'm saying, and this is from a pure place, sir, is that before we make that decision, and before we just be gung-ho and give them 5 more years, maybe we should just let the contract play out. Why are you pushing for 5 more years? Show us what you can do in the next 4. And then guess what? It would be easy for me to sit here and say yes if you can show us that, you have care and your quality of what it is that you offer the city of Niagara Falls. But if you haven't shown that in the time that you've been here thus far, then that doesn't gives us a valid reason to say yes. Not just because the mayor said something to you, or not just because, it's because let's look at things for what it was. Let's look at the track record. That's all I'm asking for. And I don't think what I'm asking is something that's unrealistic or unfair per se. Even with them, even with Casella, if they were here, they would say the same thing.
What you're neglecting is they're investing in buying all these new totes.
And then if they leave, they could possibly take them.
But they're not because we've already talked about they're going to allow us to purchase them at a discounted rate if they do leave.
They said that?
Yes.
Where?
I sat in on a meeting and listened to
Another
them.
one. Okay. You can go. I'm done.
I've already said on the record.
You said
Okay.
I've already said on the record.
I'm good.
I'm done with the debate?
I know.
Go ahead.
No, it's questions. What's that?
What do you need?
As far as Casella is concerned? Yeah, the quality.
Hold
Watch
on.
this. No, quality. That's the biggest thing that I've been looking at because, and I don't know, I'm quite sure that you've probably received some of the same complaints.
I'm a complainer.
Right. So my thing is this. The biggest thing that I've been asking is if you want something, come here and talk to us. And then same thing with DPW. If you want something, come here and talk to us. That's what I want. So if you want to know exactly what do I need, I need open communication, not an email of our agenda item sent to us on Saturday.
I just needed to hear you. I just needed to hear you say it. And so I want them to buy the totes. Personally, I do. I'm tired of hearing about totes. I would like them to pay for them. I would go ahead and say let's delay a week or two if that's what you need to ask a question and see if they show. And if they don't show, I'm gonna vote for it. But I would be willing to table if that's what you need to give them 2 weeks to show.
Well, then how about this? I make a motion to table this item until we actually have a moment to speak with the representation from Casella.
Tabling is 2 weeks. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So after 2 weeks.
Until the next council meeting.
We'd recommend a motion to postpone
Yes.
instead of motion to table.
To postpone for 2 weeks.
Motion to postpone until the next
for
meeting.
2 weeks.
And then that'll give them time to actually give us some actual meat.
I've been in the meeting, so I know.
Like, so somebody, that means that somebody's reaching out to Casella
So
to
Brian has
say.
made a motion to postpone. Dante, you're
I second it. No, I made it. I made the motion.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
Dante's made the motion to postpone. Brian seconded the motion.
It doesn't matter.
We need a second.
Second, that's fine. Just let's move on.
Okay, call the roll.
All right, so I'm calling the roll on motion to postpone until the next meeting.
Yeah.
Councilmember Archie,
Yes.
Councilmember Bax,
We have a lot of the information, and what we could do in 2 weeks, we could have done already. So I'd like to purchase some totes for our residents. No.
Councilmember Miles,
So, being that right now we're still in contract with them, and it's not like it's a really, it's not a time-sensitive situation. It's not an emergency at the time. And what this would do is give us the opportunity to actually have a very organic conversation with the people that we employ. I think that would just make more sense, you know what I mean? And it would give just more clarity as to some of the questions, because there are questions that I'm asking that nobody in this room can answer. So, accept them. So, with that being the case, absolutely, yes.
Councilmember Zajac,
No.
Councilmember Perry,
I've said on so many different meetings with
yes or no.
this stuff, I'm sick of
I
hearing
tried.
about it. Dante, I respect what you're saying. I do. Brian knows,
Look, I tried.
and I have to say
Let's
no.
go. Okay,
2 yeas, 3 nays.
okay,
The motion to postpone is defeated.
okay, come on.
Okay. Moving on to the original motion.
Roll call.
Okay, we did the information, opposition.
Roll call.
Okay. Call the roll for the original motion.
Councilmember Archie,
Yes.
Councilmember Bax,
Yes.
Councilmember Miles,
No.
Councilmember Zajac,
Yes.
Council Chairperson Perry,
Yes.
4 yeas, 1 nay.
4 yeas, the motion's carried. Legislative item number 4. May I have a motion?
Yes, for item number 4, I move the council vote to approve the waiver of a bandstand fee for the 3rd annual Juneteenth festival that the NAC will be sponsoring on Saturday, June 14th, 2025, as more fully outlined in the mayor's recommendation memo dated May 1st, 2025.
May I have a second, please? Okay. All right, information requests? Any opposition? Let's please call the roll.
Councilmember Archie, Councilmember Bax, Councilmember Miles, Councilmember Zajac, Council Chairperson Perry,
Yes.
5 yeas.
5 yeas, the motion's carried. Action item number 5. May I have a motion, please?
I move the council vote to approve the waiver of all Gill Creek Park-related fees for such things as the gazebo, the pavilion, the grills relative to the garden, and Highland Community Block Club's National Night Out event on August 5th, 2025, as more fully outlined in the mayor's recommendation memo dated May 1st, 2025.
May I have a second, please? Any information requests? Any opposition? Let's please call the roll.
Councilmember Archie,
Yes.
Councilmember Bax,
Yes.
Councilmember Miles, Councilmember Zajac, Council Chairperson Perry,
Yes.
5 yeas.
5 yeas, the motion's carried. Action item number 6. May I have a motion, please?
I move the council vote to approve resolution relative to supporting the installation of license plate reader technology by the Niagara County Sheriff's Department on New York State right-of-ways located within the city's geographic jurisdiction.
May I have a second, please? information request.
Yeah, so, where exactly will these readers be placed?
Precise locations, we don't know, but I can at least say this. We're only talking about DOT state right-of-ways. So think about that for a minute. That would be the 190, yeah, the I-190. What Robert Moses Parkway is now, what's left of it is now called something else, that's state. Then you have the state arterial highways in the city. That would be portions of Niagara Falls Boulevard, Walnut Avenue, Ferry Avenue, a portion of Hyde Park, in the tourist area, parts of Rainbow Boulevard are an arterial highway. So the DOT, knowing that they have arterial highways in the city, is willing to have the Sheriff's Department deploy license plate readers, and they're not to hand out fines, like in the city of Buffalo for driving too fast in a school zone. But in order for the DOT to approve it, they've asked for approval from the council. They want to know if the council is okay with the state allowing the sheriff to put plate readers on state rights of way.
Have we, because I know council have already approved, is this in collaboration with the Niagara Falls PD? Because I know we already approved for license plate readers to be placed out. Is this
No, yeah, that was a separate item, and that did not involve any of the state roads. It only involved city locations, and it was approved, you're right.
Any other information?
And do we have, out of the ones that we did approve, do we have any of those up as of right now?
That question doesn't relate to the item before us. It's solely about whether the council is going to approve the DOT to allow the sheriff to put cameras on state right-of-way. And I don't have the answer to your side question. I don't know about what the status is of our police department cameras, but it's not related to this item.
I guess I'm more so asking: are we setting our city up to be a totalitarian state, a police state? Are we going to? Is this like political policing? That's why. So that's where I'm getting at, because I'm like, we already approved these plate readers, and we don't even have the data of the ones that we already have, or they're not even up yet. So before we have the sheriffs come in and put more plates, camera plate readers or cameras or whatever the case is, when do we get data of what it is that we already approved for our local municipal, our NFPD? Because it's already kind of been a touchy subject anyway. So I'm guessing, like, it's like, it's I don't know. I'm kind of, before we add another, type of policing or, surveillance or type of, viewing of cameras or whatnot from the sheriff's department, let's see how it works first with our local PD. I mean, and so we can kind of at least get data and say, okay, you know what, this actually works, or maybe it's not as good of a method or whatever the case is as we thought it was, and it may not be worth the cost. That's all I'm saying. So that's why I asked that question.
The item won't cost the city anything.
Right, but again, just to try to find out if it's privacy or whatever the case is.
In terms of your surveillance concerns, if you're the type of person who thinks that, well, let me use the example of London and surrounding. If you've ever been to Great Britain, they are known to have the most highest volume of surveillance cameras. If you think that England is a police state, if that's your mindset, I don't know what to say to that. That's everyone's entitled to their opinion. I don't personally think that England is a police state.
Apples with like Like, the population density of our little 45,000, 46,000 resident city in Niagara Falls versus, come on, like,
We're not,
yeah,
we're.
that's
That
different.
would be an opposition.
Oh, okay. I mean, well, I'm just responding to what he said, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to save it for the opposition. Okay.
I don't think that there's going to be a physical wire connection, but police agencies cooperate with each other. You know, they will share information. If for example, one of our city plate readers catches a partial plate, but we know something about maybe the identification of the car or the make, I can easily imagine our police officers calling the sheriff and say, hey, would you look through your tapes and see if you come up with a plate? We need a full plate, and we know it's a white vehicle. We know it's a late model Chevy. Can you help us out? I'm sure that would happen, but that's not the same as you know, the technology being interwoven.
Just say this did get like egregious, like just things just got out of control. How would we roll it back? If we said yes, go ahead and do it, right? What's that process?
If I can speak technically speaking, our DPW, our city has no control over what gets placed in the right-of-way of state right-of-ways. For example, and maybe you saw this in the news, some months ago the village of Lewiston wanted to change the speed limit on Center Avenue from 30 to 25. They were told by the state, you can't do it because that's a state arterial road and the state controls the signage. So think about that. If you felt like traffic is traveling too fast on Walnut Avenue, we want to reduce the speed to 25.
You got to lobby to the state.
We as a city, you as the legislative branch of the city, don't have authority to change the speed limit on Walnut and Ferry because they're state controlled. So by logic, it's, you know, this is what I would call a flag waving resolution.
Because they could do it anyway.
It's a statement of support, but we don't have leverage to tell the state what they can or can't put in the right of way.
That's what I want to do. I mean, I don't disagree.
Any more information requests?
I don't like it.
We'll get into the opposition. Okay, opposed. Now, according to what I understand is these are primarily, you know, people that are opposing it, these are primarily, according to what I'm reading, is they're for Amber Alerts, murders, things of that nature. They're not for tickets. They're not for stuff like that. That's
correct. There's no fines. There's no, you know, think about the school district's stop arm cameras. Each bus has a camera that's running, and if you pass the bus when the stop arm is out, you're going to get a notice and a big fine. That is not involved in any of these police plate readers. There's no fines for speeding, for anything related to vehicle and traffic law.
Yeah, I just wanted to make that clear for the gentleman who was thinking that this was like Buffalo. We're going to start fining people for speeding or whatever. But okay, let's call the vote, please.
Councilmember Archie. Councilmember Bax.
Yes.
Councilmember Miles.
No.
Councilmember Zajac.
Yes.
Council Chairperson Perry.
Yes.
4 yeas, 1
4
nay.
yeas. The motion carried. Legislative item number 7. May I have a motion, please?
Yes, I move the council vote to approve resolution relative to establishing a climate smart Community Task Force and appointing a Climate Smart Coordinator.
I have a second. Okay. I would like to make a, motion to revise that resolution. Relative to the establishment of a climate summit, smart community task force, I would like to revise, or I would like to change that to relative to establishing a climate smart community task force coordinator, Brian Archie. In other words, I would like to make that motion to change
Okay.
that to making Brian Archie the climate smart coordinator to establish the task force. Can we make,
Edit, last page, third paragraph. Should we not mention, it's not in here, University of Buffalo Regional, UBRI, the work that they do with.
Do you mean the fourth paragraph?
No, where it says interfacing with DEC, but there is also an interface with UBRI as the technical assistance to the CSC task forces
well,
in this region, in this area? We need to add that, is what I'm asking.
well, I think what we need to do is amend, first step is to establish the coordinator and then work through this document. Could Brian and I
Well,
have been working on this.
there was a question from the gallery. There was a question from the gallery earlier, and I want to make sure that we, one, address, this is part of the Climate Smart Communities Initiative, and part of that is establishing the task force. Now, the task force itself does not implement law or policy. They actually have to do that in conjunction with city planners and other community members that get appointed to it. So there's no one body of anything that says, to the example, we're getting electric cars and this is what's happening. No, it's a body of people that actually try to work through things that are already going on, which is what qualifies. Yes, and it does make you eligible for funding to pay for some of these things, such as the heating and windows that's happening right now in this room, right, without our assistance. So there is no, this is the mandate and what we're going to do. It's actually a collective decision-making process that'll allow us to partner and get some extra funding here for things that we need to get done or choose to get done. That's my spiel. And we can talk further after if that's what you choose.
Okay.
Information?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And so it's community-based, so it's something that will have input and kind of like, public hearings where community can. All right, I'm cool with it.
Mayor gets to appoint people, but we also get to appoint people ourselves that are already in the field to have the discussions. The meetings have to be open, just like a planning meeting.
Right.
They have to be open to the public input, all of it.
Is it a minimum of 5? Or, I'm sorry, 10, it sounded like you
We
said
have
5
10
and
to
5.
split 5 and 5, so up to 10 members, just based on what other communities have already done.
But
It's
my question
really
is, we
successful.
have to meet those minimum requirements, though, on
Well-
the task force,
I
correct?
think we need
Yeah, there's a listing, and I'll direct it to you. The minimum things that we need to do, like a good example to look at right now would be Mayor Tyler in North Tonawanda,
okay.
to see some of the work they're doing.
I think probably we need to simplify this a little bit at the moment. Just to establish the task force and then lay out the parameters, because now, so just establish the task force with you as the coordinator, because I think you're the most knowledgeable on the subject right now. and then lay out the parameters at a later, as we work through it.
So we need to make a motion to amend.
Yes, yes. Let me just write this down so we have it.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes,
If there are 3 sponsors to this item, then I would be able to work on improving the format of the resolution, which would give me the chance to, add Mr. Archie to the resolution, and also the UB group. There may be some other things that could use attention. For example, I'm thinking about when the council appoints board members, from day one, when a new board is created, you might have 7 people or whatever number, but you sort of create classes. Maybe the first 2 will serve a 1-year term, then the next 2 will serve a 2-year term, and then the next 2 will serve 3, or the next, so on. That might be useful in this context as well, because as it's written right now, there's no staging of terms, and so you don't want to get into a situation where everyone on the planning board is expired at the same time, and you've got to replace everyone on the planning board. It's supposed to be a little bit more regulated. So I think that would also be another improvement that could be made. Councilman Miles, would you be a sponsor of this? So then that would bring us to 3, and then
I'll sponsor because I actually agree with that that same thing, because like even with 501c3s and different boards, when you have a board member, you don't want to have all the board members serving the same term, and then you got to probably have a new election for new members all in 1 year. That wouldn't make any sense. So that would make sense. So yeah.
And then if anyone, so if we were to
Want to table it?
If we were to postpone this,
Postpone.
Anyone else who would want to be named as a sponsor can let me know. But certainly that would be enough to start drafting changes. Is that good? So then, if I may suggest a motion to postpone.
okay. Brian made a motion to postpone. Okay.
Postpone till next week.
Are you second, or are you about to?
No.
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay. Okay, Brian made the motion to postpone, Tracy to second. Okay, so Liz, roll call to postpone.
Okay, and are we postponing to the next meeting?
Yeah.
Thank you.
next meeting.
Okay, so Councilmember Archie? Councilmember Bax?
Yes.
Councilmember Miles?
Yes.
Councilmember Zajac,
Yes.
Council Chairperson Perry?
Yes,
5 yeas.
5 yeas, the motion to postpone is adopted. Okay. Okay. Resolution number 8. May I have a motion, please?
Yes, number 8, I move the council vote to approve resolution relative to rescheduling the city council's regular meeting from May 21st, 2025 to May 22nd, 2025.
May I have a second, please? Information requests? Okay, opposition? Okay, Liz, please call the roll.
Councilmember Archie? Councilmember Bax?
Yes.
Councilmember Miles?
Yes.
Councilmember Zajac,
Yes.
Council Chairperson Perry?
Yes.
5 yeas.
5 yeas, the motion's carried. Okay. That concludes our business on legislative items. The next part is public speakers for the public good. Okay.
You do. You please be
With
seated.
that,
Please. Yes, thank you.
with that, please remember, we have 3 minutes to speak. Please state your subject clearly at the beginning so we can take notes. And Liz, please call your first.
Okay, so our first speaker is Diane McNamara, topic tree removal.
Thank you. This has been exhausting. Anyway, I don't know how you all stand it, but anyway. All right, I am Diane McNamara, and I'm talking about tree removal. And so the beginning of the saga was in 2018 when I called the city and National Grid asking that some dead ash trees be removed. Nothing happened. So then years passed, several neighbors have called the city regarding the same trees. Then during the blizzard of 2022, a branch fell and took out the power supply to 13 families for 5 days. It was Christmas. It was a lot of fun. In July of 2023, I composed a letter to Mayor Restaino and National Grid supervisors Geschwind and Wojciechowski. How'd you like that? And their forestry department in Syracuse, and copied the DPW director and the forester of the city. Included with the letter was a petition that I had circulated among my neighbors, along with pictures of the trees in question. A week or so later, bucket trucks from the city and National Grid arrived simultaneously to work on 2 trees. Then, in the most unfortunate of circumstances, the stabilizer bar on both bucket trucks broke, and so that was the end. Okay, in September of 2023, I wrote another letter to the same people and reported the bad luck that had occurred and asked that the work be continued. The city crew returned and took down some branches and then had to leave, I think, being called to another job. Last week, as a result of the strong winds and rain, a branch of a dead ash tree from across the street came down on my car, which was parked in front of my house. The force of the branch came down as a projectile, and it pierced the area above the driver's side window and damaged the roof. I called the city, it was 4 o'clock, and left a spirited message and heard nothing back the next day. So I called again and repeated my story and was told that I wasn't in the system. Presumably that meant I wasn't on a list, and I don't know how that could occur, seeing as I had been in contact with people and regarding with a letter, phone calls for years. We have some new families in our neighborhood with young children and babies walking on the very same sidewalk where the branch fell.
Miss Diane,
It's a dangerous situation.
Miss Diane, your time is up. What I would,
Time is up.
yes, what I would recommend is,
And their time is up. They have to do something.
thank you. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, before we call the next speaker, and while it's fresh in everyone's mind, I want to offer a suggestion to the last speaker, Ms. McNamara. Yes. So you can get a notice of claim form from the city clerk's office. If you want to stop there and get the form, it's available online too, and whichever way you get it, you can fill it out. And then when you fill it out to talk about any property damage that you suffered, you can submit that to the city clerk.
That isn't my primary concern.
Okay.
It's danger. It's
Yep.
dangerous.
Okay. Yep. I will be talking to the director of DPW about your situation, But you have a short window to actually submit your notice of claim. So if you had property damage, it sounds like you did, I would recommend that you fill out a notice of claim.
Our next speaker is Tamika Houston. Topic, Airbnbs.
Hi, Tamika Houston. I'm here to talk about Airbnbs. I live on 12th Street, and I'm back up here because I received a letter from the owner of the property on my street that's letting me know, and maybe some other people know, that they're gonna start operating this property, which is 432, as an Airbnb. Ido 1 LCC. Anyway, I'm up here because I'm thinking that whoever owns this property and many other properties are trying to go around the code enforcement. Because a couple months ago, I received a thick packet full of many addresses and properties that are going to be functioning as Airbnbs throughout the city. I've gone through this list a couple times. I have not seen said property that I'm talking about today on that list. So, and another person told me that they live on another block and they received the same type of letter. So I'm up here because I'm thinking that since some of these people that are coming through here, and I'm not a xenophobe or anything like that, coming through here from other countries, other parts of the state, to set up businesses here, such as Airbnbs. And from what I understand, many of them have been operating illegally, advertising over occupancy, which has happened on my block because there's already 2 Airbnbs on there. They've been disruptive. Parking was an issue. The noise was an issue. People wandering around and looking in other people's cars that live there has been an issue. And I don't want to be back up here talking about this. What bothers me is that these people, from what I've seen and been talking to other people, are coming in here basically doing what they want to do. Last year, I went to a code enforcement meeting and an owner was there. And he was trying to, for example, set up an Airbnb with 6 bedrooms when it was only supposed to have 3. And when they were trying to explain that to this individual, he got an attitude with them. And I knew he wasn't from around here based on his accent. And they were telling him, well, sir, this is not safe. You can't just do this. And his concern was, oh, well, I just need to make my money back. And then when they were talking to him and when he was starting to be honest about what he was doing, he got an attitude with them because he was like, well, I'm being honest with you now, and this is how you want to treat me. I'm bringing all this money to the city. The mayor loves me. I had a problem with that. And I just feel like if there was some sort of guideline set up, something set up in place so that these people just can't come in here and do what they want, that he wouldn't have had that attitude. He wouldn't have thought he can just come in here and say, well, I'm bringing businesses here, I'm making money. Never mind if somebody might get hurt. Never mind if somebody might get trapped in a room or a bedroom that's in the basement with no window for them to escape. So that really bothered me because if he wasn't allowed to do that, he probably wouldn't even have had that attitude the way he was talking to them. And I was embarrassed for them. I mean, they were kind of checking him, but they really weren't standing up to him like they should have.
Thank
So,
you, Ms. Houston.
Yeah.
Our next speaker. Your bag. Our next speaker is Frank Hanley.
Greetings, I am back. I have a letter to read. I did not write this letter, but I shall read it. It says, a city council person are elected officials that run a city, town, or borough and other municipalities' legislative body. They create policies to govern their districts and make sure that the current or new laws serve the needs of the people. As a genuine councilman, we appreciate your willingness to take a stand and do what is right for the city. Thank you for being a voice of reason, refusing to misrepresent truth and instead advocating for what is right. Thank you for resisting the temptation and the backdoor deals instead of championing justice. Thank you. We are grateful for your honesty, love, compassion, and concern and the representation for the city. Thank you for being transparent, loyal, and having integrity and has no hidden agendas. Thank you, Councilman Dante Miles, from the residents of Niagara Falls. Got 2 minutes, don't hurt me. I hold no ties to the mayor, council seat, or anybody. Not to Dante Richardson, not to anybody running for office. I am my own person, and I belong to God. What I will speak is the truth, and wherever you fall on the side of truth is where you fall. I will tell the story as it's been told to me, and if I am in error, I will fix it. But anybody with any sideline conversation concerning me, come see me. I'm open, I'm honest, and I'm willing. I'm tired of hearing side conversations coming to me and say, oh, we had a conversation. No, come talk to me. I'm open to ideas. I'm open to new information. I'm open to true dialogue, but I have a heart for the city of Niagara Falls. I was born here, raised between Niagara Falls and Buffalo. I've seen Buffalo do amazing things, but the innovation in Niagara Falls has been piss poor. My youth, the young adults, where is it? Main Street, where is it? I heard a young man, older man than me, don't judge me, came and talked about Niagara Falls, USA, and I'm connected with them for real. They got billions of dollars coming to the city. And he quoted multiple times, the community. Where? Because it ain't going down Main Street. It ain't even running down Pine Avenue. It ain't come to where we are. I got 39 seconds. I'm done with y'all. Every person in the room, we have to position ourselves to get a seat at a table. If they won't give it to us, make our own seat. We have to do our due diligence to get access to what's happening. So if they won't, we will. All right? I got 15 seconds. Let it run. Because I need you to think about what I'm saying. I'm not here just to be viral, to just make loud noise. We have a work to do. And they can't get together by themselves. So don't wait for them to change. You offer it. I got 1 second. Get your RFPs together.
Our next speaker is Janine Gallo.
Janine Gallo, just for the record, the lady that spoke about the Airbnbs, just so you know, it's a councilman that's, someone running for council, Noah, I don't know his last name, but it's his mother's house that's going to be an Airbnb, just in case you even think of stopping that. Anyhow, this is ridiculous. You talk about us running a circus, and this is a joke. The joke is up there, and I hate to say it. I mean, it's almost embarrassing. Every topic. Has anybody ever been fired from a contract signed by Niagara Falls? Doesn't matter how you do the service. Does anybody ever get fired, or if they don't comply with the contract that you guys signed and then they fixed it after you signed it and made it this rule, does anybody ever get fired? All I hear is, well, if they quit, we get to buy the totes back. If they quit, we'll just kill the dogs. If they quit, it's always quitting on Niagara Falls. Does Niagara Falls have the gunyuns to ever fire anybody? Just fire them for not doing their service? The garbage company, I just watched a video of someone that they taped them taking their garbage. It's like embarrassing, but you're gonna reward them and act like they're doing you a favor by buying totes. Buy them yourself. Maintain them yourself. Get control of the city. He might as well be the mayor. You could be the president. You know how to do potholes. You know how to do electrical work. You know how to run a dog shelter. I mean, what do you not know how to do, Tom? I mean, my God, you know everything. You are an expert on everything. You weigh 72 pounds now. It's got to be very stressful to know everything. My God, no matter what you ask him, he has an answer. He's an expert. If you don't do it, there's going to be a consequence of some type, and it doesn't matter because he put it on record. I said they have to do that, so it's on record. No, it's a contract's a contract. It should say it on there. The contracts should be written for them, not altered after they vote. I've never heard a contract that you pay them and then they're going to tell you what they're going to do. My God, And talk about representation. Where's the $1,800 added to the month of April for the pit chick of overload, and she dumped the dogs before her contract was even done? Who wrote that check, that added check? And does the garbage have plan B if it doesn't work out, and plan C? All these contracts, do they have extra things, Tom?
Janine, I only know half as much as you do.
Our next speaker is Tanya Barone.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Well, with all of that being said, I can only sit in my seat and wonder why I'm a candidate for city council. Like, really, I don't think any of you get paid enough. It's like volunteer work. I'm putting in 100% of my time and effort for the last year and a half. I can't imagine sitting up there. Something needs to change drastically. There's zero accountability, zero transparency, zero communication. It's so frustrating. Mr. Miles is being attacked constantly, saying he's grandstanding and campaigning, but I'm sorry, I think we can all agree that he's the only one that's really, aside from Mr. Archie, standing up for the people. So I'm sorry, but I'm all for being loud. You have to do it. I personally, I'm tired. I'm tired, and I'm not even up there. I'm tired of just sitting there listening to this time after time. Nothing getting solved, the same votes, the same predictability. We come in through the doors, there's multiple police officers. We already know we're going to be silenced if we say anything wrong. We're going to get the gavel, we're going to get him swaying the votes, we're going to get people clapping and being called a circus, but we're actually the ones out here saying, yes, you're saying something right, and then the vote comes through and it's yes, yes, yes. And it's like, we just like breathe out here going, we're feeling defeated. It's not right. We should not feel defeated. We keep giving all this money away. None of the questions are being answered, but I mean, obviously, Mr. Perry knows all the answers. And I have to just say, with Mr. Bax in the back room, it feels like a real conflict of interest, especially since when I was talking at one point, I don't think that he should personally be here as a conflict of interest, that he made me sit down at one meeting, and I'm sorry to call him out, but I have nothing against him personally, but I just feel like a lieutenant should not be in the, it's a waste of tax dollars to have all these police here not out on the streets solving crimes, making arrests. That's time that could be spent, and I've said it to the police officers before, no disrespect, but to have that many police officers here just feels a little like some criminal stuff going on in the room that's being protected, and it's sure not us in the audience. And I hope things really change before the end of the year, because after the first of the year, the real change is going to come when the 3 seats, we'll see who gets up there next.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Gregory Palmer. Topic, garbage.
My name is Gregory Palmer. I am an outreach worker in Niagara Falls, New York. My job is to walk up and down the streets and talk with people. So as I was walking up Pine Avenue, I noticed this building, 1921 Pine Avenue. There's a whole bunch of garbage. Like they just dumped it out the building between the buildings. So I'm asking myself, so we get DSS workers to work with the city, and the best we can get is trimmed grass. Our alleyways is deplorable. You can't go through alleyways no more. There's so much garbage in these alleyways that's been there for years. Years. Our streets is terrible. We the people would like to know, who do we contact to have this stuff taken care of? I mean, we can't keep coming here and asking and not getting any results. I mean, the pothole killer, I don't know how that's going to work, because every time it snows, it's like a plug. Whatever they filled in that pothole get plowed out. So when the snow clears, we're confronted once again with potholes. Now, I don't take an Uber to work, I drive a car. And my car is taking a beating. There's just a whole lot of stuff that I've been sitting back there, and I'm hearing that I've been sitting in the meeting with the mayor. But we would like to sit in the meeting with the mayor as well. I mean, it's not difficult for him to come down here along with, his administration and explain to us why we are continuously going back and forth with the same problem. We have a problem, we come to a solution, and the solution that you came to, the pothole killer, I have to get on this, because that pothole killer damages my car. Whatever they're putting down there is stuck to my car. Back to the garbage, please. If you, I sent Brian Archie a picture. He may want to pass it around so you can just see, this is just not one building. This is all over Niagara Falls. These people are buying buildings and dumping the garbage, and they don't care what happens to it. Nobody is picking it up. Not the city, not whoever we got for a garbage man. It's just there. We're already infested with raccoons, possums, and rats. Somebody's going to get bit by one of these things, and then we're going to fix it. We shouldn't have to wait for somebody to get hurt or injured, right? Or catch something walking down the street because they trip and fall, for this job to be taken care of. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Rocco Strangio. Rocco? Oh.
Good evening. My name is Rocco Strangio. I'm a teacher at Niagara Falls High School. I run the media production program here at Niagara Falls High School as well. So my students and I are responsible for live streaming these meetings. So I'm here every week. I wanted to share an event that's coming up at Niagara Falls High School that is open to the public, that we would all love the council for you to be there, as well as people in the community. This year we are celebrating the 25th anniversary of the new Niagara Falls High School. One of my students in the program have created a documentary, and we will be premiering it that night. And as well as the documentary premiering, we'll also have memorabilia and tours of the school as well. That'll be May 29th at 6 p.m. And Mr. Archie, I think you mentioned the forum for the school board next week. We will be live streaming that as well at the public library. So we run the Our Schools channel here. So you search that up on Google. We have a YouTube page. We stream on Spectrum 1302. And like I said, that is the high school students at Niagara Falls High School that manage the platform. I'm just the supervisor. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you for your time.
And our last speaker is Chris Sepe.
So, about a year and a half ago, my brother Aldo Seppi and I renovated 334 24th Street into a catering facility with a pizza shop inside. I talked to 4 different city inspectors, said they were going to help me. The health department said they will give me my certificate as long as I had the city's approval. 6 months after speaking with them, they sent me a letter stating they don't want to move forward at this time. I would like to know when a good time is. because there's no better time than right now. And I know you have rezoned other city single properties before. Ace Hobby Shop was the last one you just did. I'm done. That's it?
We just take.
Okay,
We could talk to
you
you.
taking
so
notes?
I just,
Appreciate your
okay,
notes.
okay.
That is our last speaker.
Okay, meeting is adjourned.